Hello, fabulous friends, fans, and superstars. Welcome to your horoscope for the week of April 30th, 2023. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. It is a remarkable astrological week, without a doubt. Big moves happening in the sky now. Boy, is this a very special time. I have been telling you that May is set to be the most important month of the year for just about everybody out there. And it starts right out of the gate this week. On Monday, May the 1st, Pluto will stand still in the sky and begin to go retro. This is energy we're feeling right out of the gate as we begin the week, because this is where we can feel that a turning point is coming on, that a shift is about to occur. It's just that we are at the precipice. And in many ways, we have been feeling this energy of precipice going back to the week before, when we had that very powerful solar eclipse at 29 degrees at the very end of the sign of Aries. Well, since then, as we entered eclipse season, there have been very heightened energies all around. And some people just feel more tired, more worn out. They're feeling things emotionally more intensely. Well, that is certainly part of the fact that over the course of this eclipse season, Pluto has basically been standing still in the sky. Pluto moves so slowly that his station period is really about slowing us down that much more. But the technical change, well, that happens on Monday as Pluto goes retro. Pluto, of course, known as the god of the underworld, but in Roman times was also known as the god of wealth. And I find this really intriguing to consider how normally when we think about going within, we think about really looking at what's really going on, admitting some profound and sometimes complex truth within ourselves. Well, that can sound painful, right? And sometimes it is. It can sound exhausting, because it certainly is that as well. However, considering that the Romans came to understand this energy as beyond just about karma and restriction, but also that this is where you find wealth itself, well, I find that rather intriguing when we are willing to consider more deeply those things that are motivating us that we otherwise don't want to look at, and yet we know that we must. Well, we're able to transform that pain, that mess, that sometimes what feels like guck, the things that we reject, the things we'd rather not look at. It's those very things that can lend themselves to wealth. But even wealth could be understood in all kinds of ways. Of course, when we look at it in Roman times, it's literal wealth as in money. And okay, yes, there is that, but there's also the wealth of individuation, the wealth of knowing who you are, the wealth of living that truth once you have earned uncovering it and knowing it. Now, I mentioned individuation. Of course, we have our resident Jungian at Synchronicity University, Ursula Stockder. She's coming up for a class very soon, but I mention it because I interviewed her not long ago. You can watch that interview here on my YouTube channel. I'll try to link to it below, because she spoke about individuation. And what is that? It really comes down to being willing to look at all those things within yourself that you'd rather not look at, that you reject, those things that you have relegated to the shadow. And what's the shadow? It's exactly that. It's the part of us where we're not necessarily conscious of it, but it has profound ways in which it motivates us. It speaks to our responses, our reactions, and our experience as we move through our lives, to bring the shadow into light so that we accept that this too is a part of us, so that we're able to then decide whether or not it's working for us and how we're going to integrate that energy, honor the higher vibration of that energy. That is the process of individuation, but the outcome of individuation is to know thyself. It is to know who you are and to decide consciously whom it is that is going to be. That is actually a luxury. That is something that there are people in the world who don't get that opportunity, whether it is the limits of their own consciousness, their own motivation, their own desire, but also, yes, their circumstance. The circumstances may be that they're more focused on immediacy or survival. With Pluto, it is the thing that we don't want to look at, that we must look at, that we don't have a choice but to finally address it, to understand it. And it's the more that we reject it, the more powerfully that shadow comes forward in ways that become more and more undeniable. And it's not necessarily easy. That's not the point with a journey to the proverbial underworld or a journey into yourself. All those things that are suppressed, all those things that we'd rather not see. And so, of course, as part of our individual journeys, I've spoken of Pluto in Aquarius for the collective, for the individual. Link to that below as well. The videos that I've done on that with the decade ahead horoscopes, the year ahead horoscopes. But I want to mention for the collective in particular, it is this move of Pluto that sets the stage for an incredibly consequential month of May. And so, next week, we will have the most shocking day of the year when the sun meets Uranus. The week after, we are going to have Jupiter changing signs. And as Jupiter changes signs, setting the stage for a grand fixed cross. And this is going to involve Pluto and Mars and Jupiter and the nodes, creating this larger configuration of tension, of stubbornness. But if I were to look at this for the collective, and especially in light of Pluto being the big power player in that configuration that we're moving towards now, I think that there is going to be a very important major hacking scandal type thing that takes place that comes to light in particular in the middle of the month. Between the second and the third week of the month, that's the most likely time frame. But in many ways, it is right now, at the very beginning of May, that events that we may not necessarily consciously know of are going to set the stage for the awareness around these big cultural events that are set to happen as we navigate later into this month. The outer planets are generally thought of being energies that speak most to the collective, to our shared experience, but they are also energies that are understood to be largely karmic, meaning that they have a timetable all their own. It isn't necessarily that we can always direct those energies, but rather we are being asked to surrender and accept, and that's where we find power. It is in directing our faith that wherever we're led will be somewhere good. For this week, big energies of culmination take place on Friday. I mean, just about every week this month, we have a moment of intensity and release and culmination and fruition, but then also a sense of being open and something new, a new factor to consider coming in. That's kind of the characteristic of the month of May. For this week, anyways, Friday is a very big day. That is when we have a lunar eclipse in the sign of Scorpio. Now, consider this. Pluto is the modern ruling planet of Scorpio. And it is this lunar eclipse in Scorpio that has a lot of intensity to it, not just because of the environment that it's in, under the light of a station retrograde Pluto, not only because it's in the sign of Scorpio, widely considered the most intense sign of the zodiac, the sign that has to do with all of these processes of ultimately change, ultimately transformation and authenticity. Constantly asking yourself if you're being authentic in that area of life. But what we also have is another outer planet, that is Uranus, standing across the sky from this eclipse with precision. And we've got a retrograde Mercury across the sky from this eclipse as well. Now, lunar eclipses tend to denote closures and endings. Sometimes they're a long time coming. We just haven't necessarily recognized it. But normally, eclipses deliver their messages rather quickly. It's like we realize, okay, we're done. This chapter is closed. And events very often will affirm that or support that, whether we like it or not. Certain chapters need to end if we're going to really, with a Scorpio lunar eclipse, be looking forward to transformed circumstances where we are something more and we can live something better than we did before. But the fact that we have got Uranus across the sky means there's an especially surprise or shocking factor to what is playing out here. The fact that a retrograde Mercury is across the sky does suggest two things. Either there's confusion, we're getting information, we don't know what to believe. But the thing is, with Uranus there, the truth is pretty clear. And chances are this is a revisit, another look at what we thought we knew before. Where we were clear, where we made a decision, now we're looking at it again, but differently in some way. Now, as much as Pluto can sometimes suggest a power struggle that may happen here, the fact that we have that lunar eclipse across Uranus, there's not really a lot of struggle with that. It's just clear. It's very clear who has the power, who doesn't, what decisions are being made by who, and that's it. It's done. The thing to remember is that eclipses always, always are a part of aligning us with a higher, more loving vision for our lives. They're always a part of a more faded vision that we may not necessarily see consciously, but on some soul level, it is part of what it is that we are ready for. The more it is that perhaps we're not necessarily engaging energies as consciously, the more dramatically in which awareness and change brings us back on track. But where it is that we have been engaging our lives consciously, we're able to do that, we're able to make changes, we have lives that have flexibility to them. Well, this eclipse may still be dramatic. You'll still feel it. There'll still be change, but it doesn't have to rock your world quite as much in order to align you with that higher, more loving vision for your life. Now, that alignment, or rather realignment, for more of us is set to take place dramatically with a lunar eclipse like this. Something to remember is that we are, in many ways, all of us, living in our own world, living in our own reality based on what we believe about the world around us. It tends to feed into what we perceive. When Mercury is retrograde, this notion of being and living in your own world, especially in your own head, is that much more magnified for all of us out there. And what that means is, with energy like this, with so much emotion flowing, it becomes that much more important where possible to be patient with others, but especially to be patient with yourself. This big light bulb with the eclipse is set to take place, but then there's more light bulbs coming, in particular once it is that Mercury goes direct, not next week, but the week after. And so we've got intense energies for other reasons as well. Jupiter now moving into the last degrees of the sign of Aries. It is going to be 2 weeks from now that Jupiter will change signs. So that's something really exciting to look forward to. As Jupiter changes signs, we start to notice big blessings and optimism in a new area of life. And I'll have a lot more to say about that in the weeks ahead. But having said that, as Jupiter is culminating this larger transit, and it is, of course, an energy of passion, of determination, of force, right? Of showing oneself as strong, that is especially highlighted now. But another reason that I'm paying attention to Jupiter this week is that we have Venus doing interesting things midweek. Over the course of Wednesday and Thursday, Venus will first connect in a conversation of tension with Neptune before moving on to connect in harmony with Jupiter. And so that connection with Neptune can be disappointing or disillusioning. With Venus in the sign of Gemini, well, I see that as having love there enough to give others the benefit of the doubt, but not being sure what we can believe. But it is the following day, once we have that harmonious connection between Venus and Jupiter in particular, and the fact that this is an easy, harmonious energy between two planets whose nature is, by and large, quite easy and harmonious. When we look at the planetary energy, the sign energy changes that considerably. But yeah, these planets, they tend to indicate an energy that is quite laid back, filled with faith, filled with trust, move through life with ease. Well, you add the fact that these two planets are speaking in harmony, it does suggest we're able to feel a sense of benefit and of blessing as part of this larger journey that we've been on with Jupiter moving through the sign of Aries and the area of life that you were most blessed over the course of the better part of the last year. Now, also what we have at the beginning of the week under the light of Pluto direct, well, we're going to have Mercury meeting the Sun, Mercury retrograde meeting the Sun. This is an important moment. It's part of the larger Mercury retrograde season. When these two planets meet, it tends to suggest clarity and insight. It tends to suggest that we are seeing things more rationally. You add the element of the retrograde of Mercury, we are seeing again, but differently in some way. We are able to reach a level of contemplation as to what a measured, rational choice is for us in our own lives. I don't think it's an accident. Well, look, no celestial conversation is ever an accident, including how they follow each other. This is happening on the same day that Pluto goes retro, on the same day that we have this intensely energetic, emotional type of energy playing out that can have a lot of us very wrapped up, an energy of obsession, of compulsion, of overfocus. That's sort of the dark side of Pluto. But the higher vibration of Pluto is as a force of transformation and truth and taking ownership for what we feel without projecting those feelings onto others, knowing what's ours and what isn't. And in this way, taking the best of care of ourselves. Well, I do think that retrograde Mercury meeting the Sun is going to help us to find the clarity that we need. It's going to help us to make the distinction that allows us to make the most of this celestial moment. What I love about this week for us, there's so much here. It's a valuable and meaningful astrological moment. Wow, what a special time. We have, of course, Pluto going retro. This is huge. Pluto going retro is a turning point moment for all of us in one way or another, where we're really looking that much more deeply and intensely as to how it is we're going to use this cycle. We're at the very beginning of a 20-year journey that is going to take us towards a transformed world, but also is going to transform us individually as well. Now, you add to this the energy, the intensity of a Scorpio lunar eclipse, the surprise-a-minute energy, Uranus being the modern ruling planet of Aquarius, Pluto being the modern ruling planet of Scorpio. You can see that there is this very powerful connection playing out at this time between these two celestial events. And all of it is saying, a lot of us are ready for things to be different. We're ready for things to be better. And more importantly, we're ready to get honest with ourselves about what's working in our lives and what isn't. Knowing that we are also harnessing the power of clarity and the power of taking ownership for our own happiness, to move our lives and our lived experience in the direction that we're meant to go next. Well, thank you so much for watching. What do you love about this week? Let me know in the comments below. I love reading you guys, and to prove it to you, here are some of my most recent favorite comments. Thank you to everybody who likes, who comments, who subscribes, who shares, who thumbs up. All of it means so much. I'm so grateful for each of you. And of course, if you want to know how all this wonderful stuff speaks to you in your sign, log on to NadiyaShahSuperstars.com, where you get expanded, exclusive video scopes each and every week for each and every sign for as low as just $3 a month with choose your membership rate. Higher tiers get you things like all access passes to Synchronicity University events, consultations with me, and so much more. All of this in the Superstar space at NadiyaShahSuperstars.com. Links are in the description below. Now, a quick note. Mercury retrograde got me. Mercury retrograde got me in the Superstar horoscopes for this week for the superstars out there. Keep in mind, throughout the videos, I say that the eclipse is happening on Thursday, but it's actually happening on Friday. And so I'm so sorry about that error, but I'll make sure that it's written on the website and all of that. And of course, for all of us out there, I'll be talking about that eclipse as well in the monthly horoscope. So be on the lookout for that. Superstars will get early access tomorrow, and then they'll be published here on my YouTube channel as well. Synchronicity University presents some incredible programs, and today is the very last day that you can choose your tuition rate as low as just $5 a class. Really an unheard of rate to learn from these incredible astrologers. I'm so excited to celebrate them with you. And I'm going to start with my friend, the brilliant Jungian analyst and astrologer and tarot expert and artist, Ursula Stockder. You've seen Ursula on my channel before. She's taught at Synchronicity University before as well. And now she's back for Jung and Astrology, a 5-part course that'll help you to see your own chart differently from a Jungian perspective. This is likely to be very rewarding, and I know a lot of students have been asking for a Jung and astrology course. Now, Ursula has been kind enough to give us permission to sell her previous class at that choose your tuition rate as well, as low as just $5 a class. And you can get it as an instant download now. She previously taught on Jung and tarot, and now this is Jung and astrology coming up. If you can join us live, great. If you can't, you'll get the downloads following the class as well. Another very special thing that Ursula is doing is the very first Spanish language course at Synchronicity University. So Ursula will teach the class in English, and then students get a bit of a break, and then she'll come on later on the same evening and teach the class in Spanish. So make sure if you have friends or family or you yourself are interested in learning Jung and astrology in Spanish and English, well, you can sign up for both now at synchronicityuniversity.com. Remember, today is the last day. As we start this week, it's the very last day to choose your tuition rate as low as just $5 a class. Check out Ursula's class. Links are in the description below. Synchronicity University presents me. I am coming back after a year away to Synchronicity University. This is remarkable. I'm so excited about this class. It is based on my first book, Astrology Realized. Now, if you want, you can get the book. It'll be a great companion. But if not, that's okay too. You'll be able to keep up. This is called Back to Our Roots. It is a beginner's understanding of how to read a birth chart. Even if you are a seasoned pro, you will get so much out of this class because it's a chance to really see how I approach the chart and how maybe it can bring new perspectives to you as well. So regardless of your level of astrology, I think this class will really help us to tap into an understanding of how to read the chart or how to read the chart better, how to go about it. Now, in Astrology Realized, I use a key for learning throughout the book, and it is planets are parts of your soul. Signs are how that part of your soul expresses itself and comes forward. Houses are the area of life in which that part of your soul most easily comes forward. So we are going to go through that, and we are going to look at aspects and how to actually approach, to understand aspects, to understand the types of conversations planets have, to get you reading charts or seeing your own chart with fresh eyes and fresh interpretations as well. And so, thank you to all the people who have signed up. It's obviously proving to be very popular. And I'm really looking forward to all the students coming out and the superstars coming out as well. So, check out my class starting this coming week, this May, which is this week, at synchronicityuniversity.com. Links are in the description below. Synchronicity University has an incredible speaker series. So proud of this group. I love these people so much, and I think you will too. This May, and you can choose your tuition rate. Today is the last day as we start this week. And classes are going to start this week as well, including the speaker series. So be sure to check that out. Our superstar astrologer for this session is Melissa Sanova. She's not an astrologer, but she's a tarot expert. And she'll be bringing an understanding of all those things you do before you approach a tarot reading, how to set the stage and set yourself up to do a wonderful reading. Now, Melissa has taught at Synchronicity University before. She taught one class on kitchen table tarot based on her best-selling book of the same name, and kitchen table magic, also based on another one of her best-selling books of the same name. Now, Melissa has been kind enough to offer those classes at synchronicityuniversity.com for the same choose your tuition rate, as low as just $5 a class. Again, as we start this week, it is the last day to do so. You'll get those as instant downloads, and then you can join live to see how she even sets the stage for that amazing tarot reading that you are about to give. Franco Soulbody, my dear friend, he is going to be helping you to understand the different ways in which people realize a chart based on the chart of Charles Manson. And so this is really a chance to see how we make choices when we engage our chart that we consciously create with the universe and how that chart comes forward. Well, he's going to help you to understand your own process in that, but also to use the chart of somebody really not well as an important learning tool in your journey. Helene Soriso is brilliant and loving. She is the head of Heart House Astrology, and she's going to be teaching about the upcoming Venus retrograde this summer. That is going to be a massively important celestial event for 2023. Venus will be retrograde in the sign of Leo. We're going to move into shadow towards the end of June. The retrograde starts towards the end of July and will be retrograde right into the first days of September. We'll stay in shadow right into October. So you can see there, very important cycle we have coming up. She's going to be telling you all about it and how it might speak to you in your chart. Natalie Levin is bringing her positive energy, her wonderful insights to Synchronicity University, and she's going to be teaching on approaching the chart with kindness. And that is whether you're approaching your own chart, whether you're approaching the charts of other people that you may do readings for. How to be conscious in what it is that you're saying so that you say it with kindness and positive impact and ethics. That's what she's going to be exploring here. Dustin Cormier, my fellow Canadian, Franco is a Canadian as well, you may be interested to know, but yeah, so is Dustin. He is a future very big dog in astrology. He's so brilliant. Everybody who finds him tells me how much they love his astrology, his delivery, his intellect, his insights. And so I'm really proud to present him to you. You've seen him on my channel before. He's going to be teaching a very specific technique in Vedic astrology called the friend-enemy technique. So you'll be able to apply that right away. So you can see here, we've got incredible classes as part of the May 2023 speaker series. You can learn more and sign up now. As we start this week, it is the last day to choose your tuition rate as low as just $5 a class at synchronicityuniversity.com. Links are in the description below. And thank you. Thank you so much for this moment with you. Thank you for your trust. Thank you for your love. I'm truly so grateful for it. Here we are at the very beginning of the most important month of the year, or I should say the month that really could change so much for so many of us, certainly as part of the collective as well. So be on the lookout. Incredible events are coming up as part of your own individual journey. And of course, I'll be here to talk about it every step of the way. Thank you again for watching. It'll be a great week. Enjoy. Welcome to the exciting rebirth of Superstar, featuring choose your membership rate as low as just $3 a month. At Superstar, you get expanded, exclusive video scopes each and every week, unlimited access to special horoscopes, class passes for Synchronicity University, consultations with me, and so much more. All of this in the Superstar space. I look forward to meeting you there.